Welcome to Behind the Badge with your special guest, Lieutenant Williams, your news source for all things police in the city of Fond du Lac.
Welcome into Behind the Badge on Newstalk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ. Got Lieutenant Williams in the studio. Lieutenant, you brought back a familiar face. Who's with us again this morning on Behind the Badge?
Well, we got Officer Marcus Clapper, who has done a lot of stuff for our police department. I forgot what we talked about last time I was here, but he is in charge of our Explorers program, as well as a newly field training officer, and he's also, what we're going to talk about today, a drone and robot operator.
That sounds fun. I'm just going to throw it off there at the beginning. That sounds fun. So I guess we'll just let you jump right in what you do, kind of a typical day when you're working with those, because like Lieutenant Williams said, in the previous time we chatted with you, we were talking about the Explorers.
Yep. So being a drone and robot operator, I love it. It's kind of like playing video games, but getting paid to do it in real life. Right now we have 2 drones. Unfortunately, we had an accident with one of ours. So
Was it because of you?
No, it wasn't me. But we will be getting another drone. It's ordered on the way. So that's our big drone that we do demonstrations with and use outside for missing persons, stuff like that. But right now we have 2 smaller drones. The smallest can be flown outside and inside, primarily inside. And then we have a medium-sized one that can be flown inside as well. That's all it's meant for. It has actually cages around the props, so we can fly it inside. It won't get tangled up in curtains, stuff like that. We use the drones mainly for outside purposes, whether if it's like I said, missing persons. We've used them quite a bit on missing persons calls looking for people, or if there's an incident where there's like a foot pursuit or a vehicle chase and the person takes off running, to help locate the suspects. I know the county sheriff's office just had a successful track with their drone as well. And then we even use it on if there's a search warrant with the SWAT team. So we're a branch of the SWAT team. Every time SWAT gets paged out, we get paged out as well. So that's our primary use is for our drone. For our robot, similar thing. It's usually only used inside. It has an arm and a whole bunch of different cameras, and it has a claw. You can pick things up and maneuver things. You would use that I've used it quite a few times on search warrants or SWAT calls where we would be clearing a residence and need to get intelligence where the suspect is barricaded or hiding. You can even bring in a throw phone if you need to communicate with the person and they don't have a phone. So in that way our negotiators can get in contact with them. It has capabilities to go up and down stairs. It's pretty maneuverable. I know Lieutenant Williams was a primary operator of that before we had our own team, but it's a great resource for us because we may not have to send in an actual officer to clear something when we can get information from a robot. So, and you can talk to people through it, and has speakers, stuff like that. It's really cool.
So you talked about the drone and the robot themselves. How often are those used?
Some people would say, well, it's Fond du Lac, why do you guys need that? I would say definitely on a monthly basis. I mean, there's been quite a few times where we have someone go missing from like a school, like a child, or someone from a nursing home that maybe has dementia that we would fly the drone for. Or for an example, when we had, I don't know what the ice conditions are right now, but on the lake, when cars were going through, we would send our drone up. So we use our drone quite often. It's required that you do monthly training with all of the drones and the robot too. So they definitely get their use, but on call-outs, I would say we definitely use it more than I would say the average person would expect us to.
The cool thing about the robot is you go into we might not use that as much as the drone, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we do use it, you're basically sending a robot in to do where you'd probably have to send a person in. So you're literally saving people's lives by not having them go in and have to deal with the situation. So we're not putting people in deadly situations. If they injure or hurt the robot, it's still just a machine. It doesn't, it's not going to have a family that misses it. Marcus might cry a little bit, but it is. So that, let's say if you use that once a year, that'd be worth it. When I was on the robot, it's kind of weird, the situations where that you would actually use it. I had one, this was interesting. where I had this bottle that was thrown in a garbage can at one of our gas stations here, and it was like smoking. Like it was just smoking out of the bottle. And like I actually worked with a fire department, and they have like this, like it's like litmus paper that you can hold over and see how toxic the smoke is.
Okay.
So I actually put that in the robot's claw and held it over the bottle. Found out that it wasn't toxic, but they still didn't want to touch it. So I actually was able to pull the bottle. It was like a smoking like liter bottle or whatever. I was able to pull it out of the garbage can, put it somewhere where it was safe, and then they rendered it even safer with like a fire hose, whatever. So interesting, like something I would have never trained for, but just things like that come up. And the robot's cool because it's got that arm so we can open doors and stuff like that. Some robots out there don't have that capability, so you're kind of limited where you can search, but this one you can get in like all different places.
So the controllers to control the robot or to control the drones, is this just kind of like I guess almost like an RC car controller? Is it kind of like hopped up on steroids a little bit? It's got a little bit more buttons and stuff. Like, what are we talking about here?
I would call, well, there are two separate controllers. I would say the drones are kind of like, almost like a video game controller,
Okay.
but with a screen attached to it. So you have your controller, and then you have your screen that goes up, separate power supplies, different batteries, but they work in coordination with one another. There's joysticks, and then there's two like bumpers, almost like a Xbox or PlayStation controller. And then you can control with one stick. You can control your height and your turning, and then the other one you control just basically flying back and forth, side to side, stuff like that. The robot controller, since the robot has a lot more capabilities with the arm and I guess what would you call them? I call them the flippers.
The flippers or treads.
Yeah.
But they can actually go upstairs and stuff with them. Yeah.
So it's a big, I don't know, probably like a probably like a 2x2, maybe even smaller. I don't know. But controller that has a screen on it with all the different functions. I mean, it has lights, infrared. You can talk to people through it. So there's a bunch of different buttons on it, and it also has joysticks on it as well. So.
It's a lot more like the robot's a lot more old school kind of electronics where like every button's specific, where the drones are a little more like a video game.
And how close do you have to be to the robot, or how close do you have to be to the drones, like to fly the drone away, or where do you have to be situated?
The drone has regulations. You still have to be. It's regulated by the FAA. So when you're flying outside, it has to be within line of sight. But I mean, you can see sometimes miles. In the sky, and you have to have a visual observer with you. So there's actually two controllers for the big drone outside. But that can go, I forget exactly how far it can go. It can go pretty far. And the robot, I've been before in the back of the Bearcat, the armored vehicle, on SWAT incidents, and I've driven it into houses, into basements, stuff like that. So the connectivity is pretty good. Sometimes it depends, like if you're in a room or a building with a lot of cement or metal, stuff like that, it may get a little finicky, but it actually is pretty good. I mean, you can get out of line of sight. You don't need to be watching it. So
awesome. We got Lieutenant Williams and Officer Clapper in for Behind the Badge on News Talk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ, talking about the drones and robot, and they get more use than a lot of people think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's many different situations. I can't describe all of them because there's obviously dynamic, but it's a great resource for us and for the community to have. Like I said, missing persons, I know we used it, the big drone in the El Dorado Marsh about a year ago, helping rescue kayakers or canoers that were lost in the marsh out there. So it's absolutely a great resource.
Now, you're one of the main people that uses them, right? How many other people are trained on this?
We just actually had a process to get more operators. So I would say we're on the upwards of about 10, maybe even more department members. It varies. It could be detectives, supervisors, patrol officers. It's just, there's really no exception of who can be on the team.
Do they still need like their pilot's license, or?
Yes.
So you're actually, because you're getting paid to fly, so anyone that gets paid to fly anything, you have to get like the first degree pilot's license.
It's called the Part 107 license through the FAA. So you actually have to know a lot of stuff, like how to read basically a chart that's made for aircraft, and know your different airspaces and how to read weather and stuff like that.
So can you fly a small airplane? like a little 4-seater or something like that?
Not quite.
Not quite there. Okay.
But the small drones, the indoor drones, you don't need a FAA license. So Lieutenant Williams here could fly our little drone around in this building that we're in right now.
Or crash.
Yeah.
Fly for a little bit and then hit a wall.
Yeah. Takes a lot of practice and training, but you get there after a while.
Now I know we're gonna go kind of off topic a little bit here, just because I want to talk about the drones a little bit. You watch on ESPN and they do the little like different drone racing and stuff like that. How well do you think you could do in a competition like that?
Ooh, I'm impressed with those. Those guys are definitely highly trained and they do a lot of drone work a lot.
I totally want to set this up, by the way. We were just talking about this the other day. Like have them fly through hoops and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I could, if I practice a little bit. Obviously, we don't train to fly through hoops and stuff like that. We train to find people or clear buildings and rooms.
People
and stuff
might be
like
hiding through a hoop.
that. You never know.
You don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
Prepare for all.
So, I think if you give me a little bit of time, I could make it work.
All right, we're gonna set it up, and maybe there'll be a future video on
awesome. Lieutenant
Lieutenant Williams' YouTube page. Make sure you like that, you follow that. What's the official name of it?
That's a great question. Firefly Police Department.
Awesome, guys. I really appreciate the time this morning. We'll let you get out of here. Anything else you guys want to talk about before I let you get out of here, though?
We have 2 of our originals. They are now on the road by themselves. So
Congratulations.
one of them's first day was yesterday, and I think the other one's first day is today. All by themselves, and the other one will be a week behind, not too far, and so it's progressing. It's like your listeners have grown up with them. So
100%. And then what shift are these guys going to be?
Second shift.
Second shift.
They're gonna go right into the fray. That's our busiest shift. So
definitely perfect, guys. I really appreciate the time this morning. This was Behind the Badge on Newstalk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ.